Hi, I am Becca with Miller's Crossing Design, and today you are watching DIY Clay Paint 101. And this is where I'm going to teach you the very basics of painting furniture. So come along and get ready for your new obsession. So some of the products that I like to have on hand are Clorox wipes. You could also use baby wipes, soap and water, vinegar and water. If you have a very, very dirty piece that say maybe you found at a flea market or somewhere that's been sitting around and getting really grimy over the years, then you're gonna wanna use a degreaser. This one is called Crud Cutter, and you just need to follow the instructions of the bottle. Otherwise, you can just wipe it down with some water, Clorox wipes, any of that kind of thing. I like to have a water bottle to help activate the paint and get it going at times. If I need to thin it out or if I want to distress. I have a rag for distressing. I have a couple of brushes. I have a roller. Let's see what else. Oh, and I like to burnish it with some brown paper. And I'll be showing you how to do all of that as we go on. So I'm going to show you a 2-layer paint technique. You certainly don't have to have 2 layers, but I'm going to show you how anyways, just in case you do. If you just wanted to go right over and have a solid look without any distressing, then you don't need to use 2 different colors. So one way that if I have a large piece of furniture, I like to roll on my first layer. You certainly don't have to apply your paint this way, but for large surfaces, it is convenient. It gives it a nice smooth finish, and then it also creates a nice thin layer for adhesion. So it just makes it, you want to go in nice thin layers when you're painting the furniture. You don't want to have thick dripping layers of paint. It's a very thick paint. It goes very, very far. You don't need very much, and it dries really, really fast. So that's the first coat. Another way is to use a chalk brush, and I like to use the Paint Pixie brushes. They come in all different sizes. We have different kinds for different techniques. Like this is great for getting up into the detail. This is nice for a bigger surface. We even have one that's even bigger than this for like a dining room table. And so when I'm applying it, I want to get a decent amount on there. It holds a lot of paint, and I'm just going to do long strokes like this. So if you're painting like a small chair or a small side table, then the brush will be just fine. Or if you have a lot of detail on your piece, sometimes using the rollers, you can't get a lot of detail with a roller. So after this dries, I'm going to show you the second step. So really that's all there is to your first few steps, is to wash it very well. Once it dries, go ahead and start painting. You just want long strokes so you don't have a lot of brush strokes and texture. Unless you want that look, that's fine too. There's different ways that you can apply it, but just for a nice smooth look, you just want to go with long brush strokes. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use this French tip Paint Pixie brush. It goes into the edges really well. So if you have a dresser or something that's got like a lip, this is a great brush to use for that. Okay, so now that this has dried, I'm gonna go over it with my second color. Again, you don't have to go on, you don't have to do the 2-color thing, but I just wanted to show you just in case you wanted to know that look. So if you just wanted one color, then you would just do another coat of the same color. Usually most colors take about 2 coats. So I'm just doing long strokes. You could roll on the second coat as well if you wanted to. And I'm going over it with White Swan, which is our beautiful farmhouse cottagey white. And this is where I could show you, it's sticking a little bit right here, so I'm gonna just get a little bit of water on my brush. Maybe a little bit too much there. That's okay. And it helps move the paint. Some of the colors are a little thicker than others. I find the white to be a little thicker. And I tend to have to use water a little bit more with the whites. So you want to cover it as many times as you want to get the coverage that you're looking for. I'm just going to go ahead and finish it and have it kind of transparent like this. If I wanted it to be full, then I would do another coat. But just for the ease of the video, I'm going to keep it thin like this and show you the next step. So on the other board, I'm going to show you another technique called dry brushing. I'm going to take my Paint Pixie Dusty brush. See how it's only one thin layer? This allows me to create a dry brushing technique, which is another way that you can create depth on a piece. So I start at the bottom and I'm just barely using any pressure. I like to say it's a whisper, okay? Don't want my brush to be wet with paint at all. And even if I have to break my stroke, I'm gonna stop halfway through, turn it around and go this way, and then pull it through. This gives it a nice, pretty weathered look. And it's a go-to that I use a lot on furniture that has some detail. So that's a great way to get a weathered wood look. So now that the white is dry, I'm going to show you how to wet distress. You want to take a t-shirt rag, and I like to get it really wet, and I'm going to kind of put my finger around it, and I'm going to pull on the edges. You're going to use a little bit of muscle to pull some of that paint off. You don't want to wait till the next day for this one because it'll cure by then and it will be just too hard to distress. You can also use sandpaper, but this is definitely an easier way and less messy. So this way you can kind of pull that top color off and show some of the color underneath. Probably even let it dry a little bit too much. And you would do this in different spots randomly on your furniture so it looks natural. Of course, you don't have to distress your furniture. This is just another technique. So now that I have it distressed the way that I want and I'm ready for my top coat, I like to use a brown paper bag. And this is called burnishing, okay? This burnishes the wood or the paint. It gives it a little bit of a shine. And it just gets any loose brush strokes, any loose paint off. Just gets it nice and smooth and ready for the next process, which is your top coat. Now, if you are waxing, you can go ahead and wax your piece as soon as it dries. If you're going to use Big Top, then you want to let it dry 24 hours before you apply the Big Top. So now that it's burnished, I'm ready to add my wax. We have several waxes, but I'm going to show you right now the clear wax, which is going to be kind of hard for you to see because it's clear, but it's very, very soft. It's non-toxic. It's made out of beeswax. It goes on like butter. So just like the painting, I like to do long strokes. I like to use a brush. A lot of people swear by a t-shirt rag, which works just as fine, but I feel like I get more control when I use a brush. So I just apply the entire thing in thin layers. Once I have my piece completely covered in the wax, I let it dry for 24 hours. And the next day, I come back and I like to use a buff brush to buff it, and you can make it as shiny as you want or not shiny at all. Again, you could also use a t-shirt rag for this. So when I apply the other waxes, I like to use the clear wax first because it just helps so it's not so concentrated and hard to control. So I put it on like that, and I like to use a t-shirt rag and just kind of wipe it off so it's kind of subtle. And then we have a dark brown one that's like a tobacco brown. It's just a little warmer than the black. This is great for detail too. And our newest one that just came out is called Shipwrecked, and it's like a turquoise. Beautiful that is. So I have a little bit on my brush of the other color, so it's going to mix a little bit. But you can put that right on, right over the clear wax, or you could do it fully concentrated. You could do any of these fully concentrated if you wanted to. But I feel like having the clear on there helps move it around and be able to manipulate it a little bit better. So that's it, and then you let it dry, and next day you come and you can buff it, make it as shiny as you want. It takes about 30 days for a piece to completely cure, so you want to make sure that you wait before you put glass down and that kind of thing, wet glass. Okay, so here's the white wax. And it's probably going to show a little bit of the blue in here now. But as you can see, it goes on. This is without any top coat. So you can see it catches a little bit more than when I had the clear on first. So this would completely cover your piece if you didn't use the clear first or wipe it off. So that's what it's like when it's concentrated. So the other top coat option that we have is called Big Top, and I will show you that. So if you didn't want to mess around with wax, you could use a water-based top coat. I love to use Big Top. It goes on so nice, it's so easy to work with, and I like to use a sponge. And kind of just like with the painting, you just long strokes. It goes a really long way. You only need a thin coat. And we have a few colored top coats. We have old and gray, and we have dark and decrepit. They also work as stains. So I like to put the Big Top down, and I'll show you on one half what the dark and decrepit is like. So that goes right on. The Big Top helps manipulate it. It's probably a little hard to see, but you can see it's brown. This one's going to be a little harder to see because it's gray. These would also work as a top coat if you wanted to go straight on with them. But I usually, just like with the waxes, I like to use the Big Top first. It just makes it easier to manipulate. And when you're doing this, you want to go in small sections. So you work in small sections, move on to the next section. And with the Big Top, you don't have to buff it or anything the next day. The next day it would be nice and dry, and it'd be ready to go. Again, it still takes 30 days for your piece of furniture to cure. So that's it for Painting 101. It's pretty much the basics, and you know, when it comes down to it, you really just need to grab a piece and go for it. If you make a mistake, you can always paint over it, and the best way to learn is just to try. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me in the comments or message me on Facebook, and I'd be glad to help you on your journey of furniture painting.